Hard Rockology Show, Chris and Matt from Knock Out Kaine's latest release, Rise of the Electric Jester. The song is called 16 Grams of Heart Attack. And let's welcome to the show from the band vocalist Dean Foxx. Dean, thanks for taking time to talk to Hard Rockology once again.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem, Dean. Actually glad we had a chance to get you on here. And I'm actually kind of glad we started off with that particular track because for me, that track is probably the most similar song to your previous album, which was House of Sins. Now, I'll ask you this question. Was that intentional to kind of have that song transition from the last album into the new album?
Yeah, I think 16 Grams was a song that was written around the time when House of Sins was released, and probably one of the songs that we wrote straight away after the release of the first album, I should say. And it's definitely got that kind of vibe, and I think we thought that's probably why we opened this new album with that track as well, sort of like for existing fans to sort of like, you know, put on a pair of comfortable shoes, as it were, you know. And then obviously, as you know, as the album goes on, we go off in a few different kind of directions. But I think it's definitely Knock Out Kaine, no matter what direction it goes in. But yeah, we've experimented with a few things on the new record, yeah.
Because one of the things I want to bring up, a lot of times bands come out with a great first album, debut album, and then their sophomore album kind of is a little bit of a letdown for a lot of their fans. And for me, this new album is just the opposite. For me, like I said, the first track on the album, 16 Grams of Heart Attack, it's kind of, let me explain it this way. It's kind of like you're at the foothills of a mountain. There's a freaking pub right there, and that's the last album, the House of Sins album, you know, and you got that one track, and then after that you start climbing up this mountaintop, and it's just a vista of like all new sounds and different types of things that you guys are trying to do. And that's how the album came across to me. It's completely different than the last album. And you guys are in all different directions, but
it works in a good way.
It works in a good way. So was that kind of like the intention, or was it just kind of the band just from the last album? Because I know a lot of the older songs were written probably years before the album was even released. Is it just the maturity of the band and where you guys are currently at?
Yeah, I think it is. We were aware and that we wanted to explore different influences, you know, because everyone in the band's into lots of different styles of music and are influenced by different things. We demoed so many different songs. We wrote like 30 songs, and we like cherry picked the best 10. Well, as far as we were concerned, the best 10. So that there's a lot more stuff that was actually demoed and written, which, you know, and stuff that may even, you know, rear its ugly head later on. But for us, yeah, we really wanted the album to go in different directions, but really keep it organic as well. So and I think we've achieved that.
Let's just backtrack really quick onto the first track, 16 Grams of Heart Attack. Right there you have the guest guitarist, Christian Brady, from Hell Yeah, playing guest guitar on that album. And I'm going to say this, and this is a compliment to Jimmy. Why bring in another guitar player? I mean, because Jimmy's guitar playing is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, the guitar playing on that track is phenomenal as well, but I'm just trying to understand, and I guess I'll ask this question is, first off, how did that come about? And did that also basically influence some of the other tracks on the album as well?
Christian was on the very last UK Love Hate tour. Christian was playing guitar for Jizzy Pearl in the last incarnation of Love Hate last year. We became really good friends, and he'd only just got the job with Hell Yeah, and you know, every night on tour with Love Hate, instead of coming out partying with us lot, he was going back to the hotel room and doing what he called his homework for the Hell Yeah gig. And then when Hell Yeah came over with him a little later last year, sort of about August last year, and played a couple of big festivals over here, and one of them was Bloodstock. I mean, we're playing Bloodstock this year, so but he got us. Christian got us some VIP passes for Bloodstock last year, and that's when we were talking about it, and we played in the song, and he really liked the song, and says, you know, so we just came to the idea that he could come and play the solo. The opening guitar tapping part of the solo is Jim, and then when it goes into the more sort of like shreddy with trem scoops bit, that's all Christian.
Dean, you got a video for one of the songs off the new album.
Yeah, Ain't Your Kind.
Yeah, Ain't Your Kind. Tell me a little bit about that and the story behind the video. I mean, obviously, if you haven't seen the video yet, you can check it out on YouTube. But tell me a little bit about that. It kind of took me back to my childhood a little bit.
Yeah, well, the song was written about bigotry, I guess, in all its forms, image fascism. People being put down for what they wear or how they choose to look, or even to the more visceral stuff of of the color of one's skin or whatever. So it's about bigotry, and the actual video itself came about. The storyboard in the video came about when we went to do the performance parts of the video. We hadn't storyboarded anything for the story. It was simply just the performance parts, the band playing and stuff. And a good friend of mine, whose name is Matt Gilbert, he's one of the backing vocalists on the new album. He drove us down to the video shoot, and on the day that he drove us, his 13-year-old son had been excluded from school because he'd been bullied at school. But instead of backing down, he'd stood up to the bullies and given one of them a bit of a punch, and so he'd been excluded from school for the day. So he came along, this young lad, and I'd only just met him. I've been friends with Matt for such a long time, but his son I'd only just met. His name's Jack, and this whole idea of bullying, and the idea of bigotry, all sort of like came together. So we decided to run with kind of like this bullying thing in the video itself, but the young boy that's in the video itself, who's wearing the Knock Out Kaine T-shirt, we got Jack to do that. So that's actually my friend's son, who was excluded from school. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think we'd have come up with the idea for the storyboard.
It's funny how things work out. I mean, because like Matt and I were here doing some notes for the show and stuff, and half the stuff we do notes for, we don't even use on the show because other stuff comes to mind, and it's just amazing how that part of being a musician, or whether you're hosting a radio show or whatever, those things come about because there's always like outside influences maybe that come in and change the whole direction of what you guys are doing.
It's the organic nature of being an artist, isn't it? And I think if you ever lose that spontaneity, then you've lost something really important. And I think you've just got to go with the flow sometimes, and even if you've got an idea of how something's going to go, if another idea comes in that you think instantly is better, just go with it,
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's a track on the album I want to talk to you about. It was probably one of the first tracks that actually kind of surprised me when I first heard it, and that's the third track on the album, How Would I Know? What was the idea behind that, and I guess basically the inspiration for that particular track? Because like I said, coming off your last album and coming into this album, there's a whole bunch of new sounds on there, so that was one of the first songs that really basically said this is going to be a completely different sounding album.
Yeah, when I wrote the lyrics to How Would I Know, I had a few friends that were going through sort of like a midlife crisis style situations, relationship breakdowns, marriage breakdowns. And I was getting bombarded with stories from them left, right, and centre, and some of them quite heartbreaking stories. And it's never nice when that kind of thing happens. But it also kind of reminded me of a time in my life when I was going through exactly the same thing. And the catalyst for the lyric was watching the film American Beauty. I know I watched American Beauty, and it all kind of came together. And it was the night after I'd just watched American Beauty for like the third time or something, and I just sat down at my piano, and that's when it all flowed out. And it's most people go through something like this in their life or whatever. I mean, I can only speak for myself or the friends that I've sort of like stood on the periphery and looked at what's happened to them, and yeah, that's where it came from. We've got an idea for doing a video for that song. I think there's going to be another sort of like 3 or 4 videos from the album that are going to come out over the next few months, and that's going to be one of them. But I think we're going to take it a little bit tongue in cheek and probably have something kind of comedy-esque, because although it's an upbeat song and it's a song that actually, when you listen to the melodies in it, because they're also like major, it's all major chords and and major cadences in the song. The actual subject matter is fairly dark. So yeah, well, but I'm looking forward to doing the video for that one, because we've got some. There may be a little bit of slapstick going on.
Do you guys find it to be making videos just as important as releasing new music? I mean, obviously releasing new music is important, but a lot of bands, sometimes they don't have videos to go with the songs, and people don't get a good idea of what the band's about, except for maybe a live performance that someone shot on their cell phone. So, I mean, how important is it for you guys to make videos?
Well, I suppose just recently it's become more important, but it's never ever going to be as important as the music, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're musicians, we're not actors. So and I suppose our art form, as it were, is it's all about emotions and putting that into soundscapes rather than anything else. But I don't know. I do enjoy doing. I feel very uncomfortable doing video shoots at the start of the video. Start of the shoot, very uncomfortable. But as soon as half a bottle of Jack Daniels has gone down, we're okay and we're away.
That sounds like rock and roll to me.
Yeah, it is. There's eventually, I think within the next 2 or 3 weeks on YouTube and on our own channel and stuff, we're going to be putting. There's kind of like a making of for the last video, and you'll see you'll see how much alcohol was used during the whole thing. I mean, I'm not condoning it, but it's what we have to do to get in the zone on camera, because I don't think we're. Certainly speaking for myself, I'm not particularly comfortable in that arena, really.
I completely understand what you're saying there, but let's ask this question then. Rise of the Electric Jester. I mean, that's a pretty interesting name, not to mention interesting album cover as well. So what's the whole idea behind the name of the new album and also the album cover as well? Does it symbolize something? Maybe perhaps the band or something else?
Yeah. The Electric Jester, he's a character that we came up with. His name is Boxes the Jester. I suppose he may become our Eddie the Ed, Iron Maiden style. I don't know yet, but he's like a personification of each and every one of us in Knock Out Kaine. He's like the personification of the band, I guess. And the album cover itself. We wanted to put sort of like some imagery into the cover, like with the checkerboard, like throne room on the floor and stuff. You know, kind of Masonic. Some symbolism in there that's a bit Masonic. Maybe the We Are Legion. I can't remember what it's called now. Is it the mask on his face is the conspiracy theory dudes. And that all came from the fact that the song Boxes is all about conspiracy theories and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where it's come from. Boxes the Jester. He's the band, but he's a very suspicious bloke, and I believe he's going to rear his head a little bit more as we go on. And I'm not entirely sure which way that's going to go, but we shall see, shan't we?
The only other band I know that used a Jester was Marillion, and they're from England too.
Yeah, well, they're from Scotland, actually.
Oh, actually, Scotland, yeah.
One of my very favourite bands, actually. My elder brother, God bless his soul, who passed away when I was a kid. Marillion, one of his very favourite bands, and I still have all his old vinyl albums and stuff of the band. And they've been a big influence on me. So maybe that's where that come from to a certain extent. You know, so like a tip of the hat.
Yeah, and their album covers are pretty fantastic too. So maybe see some ideas coming from that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. I mean, Christian, who did the album cover for us, I think we've got a good relationship with him, and I think he's going to be doing a lot more for us. Yeah.
All right, Matt. So if we go to a Knock Out Kaine show, we're going to be looking for Boxes. I'm sure he's not going to come out right off the bat, but he'll be out there probably like third or fourth song. I'm thinking.
It may, but I'm thinking probably some beautiful stripper lady.
Yeah, I think Boxes should be.
Yeah,
dressed as a lady, really. Dressed as a lady jester. Lady jesters, why not?
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. That's a perfect idea. I love it.
In this politically correct world we're living in, why the hell not?
Yeah, you got to go see Knock Out Kaine. They got boxes. It's a female Jester. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah, we did actually have the Jesterettes at our album launch. A couple of very fine looking young ladies dressed as jesters, and I'm not entirely sure whether they stole the show. They may have done. I'm hoping not.
So there's another track on the album that's kind of an interesting track as well too. It's the cascading track. Now, yeah. I've heard that it's actually been part of the song is actually in tune with one of the clock towers there. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, in our home city, Lincoln, where we live, we have a huge cathedral, and the cathedral chimes are the same as the Westminster chimes, what you hear all over. I think Slaughter used them, didn't they, at the start of Up All Night?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and that's where the melody. There's a portion of the melody of the chorus, the cascading down, that part, which came from there. I actually wrote that part of the song while passing the cathedral and the bells were going, and I thought, well, what a cool idea. It's one of those things, but people know the Westminster chimes, so I think the melody of the chorus in that portion probably resonates with people. If they don't know the story behind it, they probably relate to it anyway, and don't realise why,
Dean, Gene Simmons of Kiss says rock is dead. Is rock dead in England right now? It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on in the UK.
Oh, rock ain't dead. It's just being squeezed. It's there's probably more bands out there with a platform now than there ever were before, and some real talent out there with a platform to get it out. The only thing that differs is the fact that there aren't massive corporations stuffing you with money left, right, and centre. It's become this thing where there are rock stars, but there aren't rock stars buying 6 Lamborghinis every week. That's all. Those of us that are making a living are we're the lucky few, whereas back in the 70s and 80s, the lucky few were the ones that were buying 7 to 10 Lamborghinis every week and mansions left, right, and centre. But to make a living now, that's all I ask for anyway. Really, anything more than that would be a major bonus. But it's never been about the money. It never will be about the money. It's about the music. And if it was about the money, I'd have given up a long time ago. And I think I told you that last time I was on the show. Yeah. So no, rock ain't dead. Rock is thriving. It's just it's just the decadence that's probably died somewhat.
Now let's bring this all to the forefront now, because you're exactly right. What was going on in the 70s, the decadence and everything else, those days are long gone. The record labels dumping money into bands, getting them out on the road is long gone. And now I'm going to go ahead and ask you, because you guys just started a brand new Pledge Music campaign, basically Tour the World campaign, to get you guys out touring the world. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about that and what exactly you guys are looking for and what it is that you guys hope to do.
Well, I mean, we've got a damn fine fan base, and we're always being asked from different people from different countries, fans from different countries asking us when we're going to get out there, and one of the biggest obstacles that any band has in today's market is the fact that it costs a lot to be on the road, and there really is. I mean, there are really huge bands putting together pledge campaigns, and so we thought to ourselves, well, if our fans want us to move in a wider sphere, then why not ask them to help us out a little bit, and that's what it's all about. It's about getting the fans to come together. It's not something for nothing. Every pledge that's made, something's given back to the person that's made a pledge. we have all sorts of different stuff going on, and different sort of like gifts that we're giving away to people who make pledges of different sizes. But yeah, it's all about putting us on more towards the world stage, because I mean, for us based in the UK, we can tour the UK relatively easily. We can tour Europe relatively easily, but coming to the States or going further afield, going across to Australia or whatever, Japan, it's a tall order, and you know, so any help is much appreciated. That's about it, really, you know.
Exactly. And for our listeners out there, basically all you need to do, just go into your browser thing, type in Pledge Music, Knock Out Kaine, and the pledge will come up there directly. So it's as simple as that. Pledge Music, Knock Out Kaine in your search engine, and boom, you'll go right to the page, and you'll see a lot of the things that Dean's mentioned. Now, Dean, since the release of the last album and the new album, any new Spinal Tap moments you want to share with our listeners?
Crikey me, off the top of my head, you know, I can't really remember anything at the moment. I think it must have been that wine that I just drank, because I mean, I don't drink wine, you know. My wife drinks wine, and I've just been drinking her wine. It's gone all swirly and squirrely now. Spinal Tap moments. I think there's plenty of stuff that hasn't happened to me, but happened to other people in the band.
All right, yeah. Let's go there then. Okay, I'll tell you what. So I go back and forth with Jimmy. Give us a good Spinal Tap moment with Jimmy. I mean, outside of him sitting by himself, staring at a wall, playing guitar in that Pledge video, which is disturbing. But
Jim, I'm not entirely sure that I've got anything that you can put on air that's Jim's, because it's all pretty dark stuff. He doesn't seem like a dark character, does he?
No.
But yeah, once he's had a few beers. Yeah, I'll tell you what, one that I can tell you. In Europe recently, this isn't Jim, this is Lee, our bass player, my brother, and myself. And we ended up, after the show, trying to find this bar, any bar that would serve as alcohol, because everything seemed to shut down. So we went wandering around, and I can't remember. We were somewhere in Spain or Catalonia, and we couldn't find anywhere open. So we're sitting down on this bench, and this homeless guy, this vagrant type dude, he comes up to us with a vacuum cleaner, and he's pretending to pretending to vacuum clean the sidewalk, and then the bench, and then us and stuff, and all we could do was laugh but then at that moment this guy came and rescued us and said, "Oh, my flat's just over there, I'm having a party, do you want to come into the party?" So we went to this huge party that he told us about. He took us up these stairs into a 1-bedroom flat, and when I say 1 bedroom, it's 1 room. There was no kitchen. There was no nothing. It was just a bed in a room, no party, just him, and a bottle of whiskey. And he said, and we were sitting on the bed, and he's saying, "Just drink the whiskey. We're gonna have a party," kind of thing. And then, I said, no music. It's silent. We're sitting on a bed in the middle of some town in Spain with this guy, and I had more of my wits about me than Lee did, because I think Lee had been drinking a little more than I had. And I kept saying to Lee, I said, "Lee, we've got to leave here, man." And Lee was like, "Why? We've got the whiskey." We got the whiskey, but you know, who knows what's in the. If I hadn't made us leave at some point, I really, really think we'd have woken up in a few hours' time, and things would have been a whole lot worse. I mean, even let your imagination do the talking there. But yeah, there was something a little tiny box room, 1 bed, which basically took up the whole room. No party, no people, no music, just a bottle of whiskey and this strange guy.
Sounds like we got another Knock Out Kaine song coming down the road.
He's got to write a song about that. That's awesome. That's an awesome story. With the vacuum cleaner too before.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. It was one of my favourite moments of ever being on tour. That because I mean it carried on forever as well. It never seemed like it was going to stop. This guy but he just wanted to clean everything with a broken vacuum cleaner. He was even making the noise.
Well, you know what, Dean, your Spinal Tap moments never disappoint. I will say that.
Yeah, that one does not disappoint at all.
So, but I definitely want to thank you for joining us again here on the Hard Rockology Show. And I want to tell our listeners out there, you definitely have to pick up this new album, Rise of the Electric Jester. And Dean, like we always do, why don't you go ahead and pick another track off your latest release, and maybe one of your favorite tracks, maybe, and give us a little background on that track, and just go ahead and take us out of this interview.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the track "How Would I Know." It's the third track on the album, and it's the one that's kind of about midlife crisis. It's and inspired by the film American Beauty. So have a listen to that and see what you think. And it's one of my favourites on the album. I love it a bit. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much.
Might be white trash, and how would I know?